Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Birkbeck's Women's Network's Wonder Woman series. And I'm here with Georgina Baillie, who is one of my good friends and has been a big inspiration for me in my personal and creative life. Do you want to do a quick introduction of who you are, what you're passionate about?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. So my name's Georgina Baillie, but you can call me Georgie because Georgina's way too formal. And I am an artist, an actress. I used to be in a band for a few years, toured all over the world. I have an Instagram called Georgie London Art, and that's actually when I created it. It was when we met. Me and Katie, we met during quite testing times, and yeah, Katie was actually one of my inspirations for some of my work. So we used to share a room together, and it must have been like the size of a shoebox. And we're both extremely messy girls, and we realized that, you know, I mean, any other girl, I think I would have wanted to kill, you know, in a space that small. But we just really complemented each other, and so I've done several drawings of Katie and several paintings and stuff, and at the moment I am in rehearsals for a play that's going to be on at the Bloomsbury Theatre in London, and it's called White Witch. And I play a witch, and it's been a really great experience. You know, there's just a tiny part of me that's thinking, like, because of the lockdowns and everything, you know, have I been learning all these lines for no reason? Is it going to actually happen? But you know, I just have to continue as though that's not even in my head. You know, obviously it would be really, really horrible if, you know, we had to go through all that again. But actually, lockdown's been really good to me. It forced me to improve my skills. I just focused solely on my artwork, drawing, and taught myself to paint with acrylics, and started like quite a viable business, art business. So I do commissions and I sell prints and originals of my work. Is that enough?
Amazing. Yeah, no, that was great. And you know, one thing that really impressed me that you had done during lockdown was kind of adapting to the circumstances around your acting as well, and kind of adapting your skills and the character that you created during lockdown. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so she's a manic 50s housewife, 1950s housewife. She's very, very posh, because back in the 50s, women on the BBC had to speak in a certain way. And I've called her Mrs. Fanny Wingrove, and the show is called Fanny Business. And they're just short little clips of this woman who's married. She's got a couple of kids, and she's a homemaker, but under the surface she's boiling. You know, she secretly wants to murder her husband, and she's a little bit on the edge, split personality, but like trying to be humorous about the whole thing. You know, I'm trying to, like, just as a fantasy character, basically. It's not meant to offend anyone, but you know, it's a minefield these days. But it was a real good outlet because I just came up with the idea randomly because I was doing quite a lot of HIIT workouts because I love the gym and I was missing it a lot. And so I did my HIIT workouts, and just, it's kind of like meditation. It just came to me, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if there was this woman, and she was a bit of a nutter, but she looked pristine. And I don't know, it just kind of developed. Then I spoke to a friend of mine, Spiros, who's a filmmaker, and we made it happen. And you know, unfortunately, we've only got a couple of short clips out of it, but you know, life gets in the way. People get other projects to do, But hopefully after I finish the run of this play, I'll have time to get back to that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's so inspirational that you found a way to make it work despite, the challenges. And I think that it's always been very inspirational, just like the passion that you have for what you do. Would you have any advice for people that, maybe quite haven't found that passion for themselves yet, but, want to find that passion and really enjoy what they do on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think, like, step back to childhood. What did you want to be when you grew up? Because we all have a inner desire, and we've been ground down to do 9 to 5s and all that rubbish, but it's necessary because you need to feed and clothe yourself and put a roof over your head. And I tried doing things other people's way for such a long time, and I ended up going a little bit mad and ending up in rehab. So I just really would say, just be really honest with yourself, because life's more like, you won't be on your deathbed and think, oh, I didn't work enough hours in the office. What's the end goal? And also, actually, scrap that. No, it's more like, be in the present. The future hasn't happened yet, and I can come up with tons of scenarios of what might happen, and I'll start remembering like crappy things that happened to me in the past. But that's just my head trying to play games with me. So if I just stay in the present and really enjoy right now, and ask myself, am I enjoying right now? And if I'm not, I could change it.
Absolutely. You broke up a little bit. I think you were saying something about like what go back to childhood and think about what you enjoyed doing when you were a child. But then unfortunately you broke up from me a little bit.
Oh, okay. Well, we all wanted to be something when we grew up, didn't we? And I think in your innermost self what it is that you want to do, but sometimes you have to try a few other things before you find it, and that really used to annoy me, because I'm like, God, I'm already 30 or whatever I was, and I was thinking like, oh, I should know by now. You drop that way of thinking, because it's not helpful to you or anyone around you. And basically just be in the present. That's the best advice I can give anyone, because if you get anxious about the future, and I go into my head and I start predicting how tomorrow is going to be, I can't enjoy today because I'm pissed off about something that hasn't even happened, or I'm remembering something that pissed me off 5 years ago. It'll just float right into my head. And so I think if you like your present, great. If you don't, change it.
Yeah, that's great advice. And do you have anything specifically that helps you to stay in the present?
Yes, I do actually. I just check in with myself often, and I'm like, if I find myself in any form of discomfort mentally, I will think, well, is this real? Is it going to happen? Has it happened? Or am I up to my old tricks again? Is my head trying to have me off? So I would, and then also sometimes I think, oh yeah, that's a resentment from a few years ago. Yeah, that's not very useful thinking about that now. That person's probably forgotten all about it. So I dropped that. And I used to put post-it notes all around my house with the word now written on them, just to remember, like, now. Don't be in future land, don't be in past land, just be in now. And because everything I've ever needed has been provided for me. I'm here breathing, and I've had everything I needed today to be okay. And I always, I always have, even when I perceive it as not. I look, I'm alive here, breathing, sitting, talking to you, so I'm fine. I didn't have to worry about at that time when I had too much work on, or it's all done, and it will be done. And also, if somebody's pissing me off, or if I'm not getting along with somebody, if they're not doing things the way I want them done, then I have to think, well, am I being a little bit unrealistic in my expectations here? Or am I being defensive about something? Because what they do is none of your business. You're in charge of your behavior. So if I notice that I'm reacting in an irritated way, for example, I'll just be like, try and see it from their point of view. They're probably just, maybe she's having a bad day. We don't know what's going on in someone else's life. So I try and think of things that way, because I think people are quite a big problem for me, like getting along with other people, I guess. And I want people to do what I want them to do, but they don't always do that. And I have to be okay with that. Otherwise, I'm going to go mad.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I think the last time we had spoken in the interview that we did a few months ago for my dissertation, you had mentioned meditation as well as something that had really helped you, as well as exercise. Do you still find that to be the case?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm loving that the gyms are open again, because I had to get very creative during lockdown. But exercise, meditation, you know what? You've reminded me. I need to start doing that again. But I also really love yoga, and Pilates, and all that stuff. And anything where you have to focus on your breathing really is a good idea. And I feel like sometimes I can just get on, the cross trainer at the gym, and I'm on it for like an hour, and like that's like my meditation. I'm somewhere else in my head. And also at the end of yoga, you lie in shavasana, and sometimes I just stay there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely more motivated now that I'm able to go to the gym and kind of seeing other people around, like working hard. It does, it rubs off on you a bit.
Yeah.
Can I ask you, how do you define success in your life?
Wow. Oh my goodness, what a question. It's a great question. Success. Can I go to bed at night feeling good about myself? And can I wake up in the morning and feel like I can do today? I can do it. And I don't have to do it well. I don't have to do it bad, but I can do it. And I have the complete confidence of that. And success really, really, I used to think it was financial, but it's not, because I've heard of, billionaires blowing their brains out. It's it you have to be okay in the current situation that you're in, even if you perceive it to be a bad situation. It's usually some kind of lesson to be learned in there, and that's really hard to see at the time. But also, something I learned that really helps me and has proven to be true is that rejection is God's protection. As you leave the situation, you realize, actually, yes, I'm really glad that didn't happen, because I'd probably be in a really dark place right now. So yeah, I found that to be true.
Wow, I really like that. You said rejection is God's perfection.
Protection.
Protection. Well, and congratulations on your your recent anniversary day of sobriety as well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you.
Thank you, babe. Yeah, thank you. I'm proud of me too. But it was difficult at first, but now I can't imagine life with alcohol in it. I'm in this play and I have so many lines. Like the first act, I'm on stage pretty much the whole time, and I there's not like an hour that goes by at rehearsal that I don't think, oh, isn't it wonderful that I'm not hungover or pissed. um. So yeah, I'm really grateful.
Well, I know you've been working really hard with your rehearsals and everything. Can I ask you, for the role that you're currently working on and the play, what are some of the main themes that come up, or like what resonates the most with you about it?
Well, I really like the character because even though it's set in about 1800, this character I relate to quite a lot because her reputation has gone before her. Like there's rumors about her. Everybody's talking about her in a negative light. And she just doesn't give a fuck, basically. And she kind of moves through the play just revealing her true self, which is a witch. And in the end, I guess, what else is there? Just kind of like the double standard between men and women. That's the theme, about sex and all that stuff. Like, guy's the hero if he shags 20 girls, but the girl's damaged goods and a whore if she does that. And I find that still to be the case, when you talk to a lot of guys I know, and I was actually really surprised about that. That's kind of why I made Fanny Business, because I just couldn't believe what I was hearing, and the expectations of women. I mean, even though this is set such a long time ago, I still see similarities, in today's world. And also there's the issue of race, which, as a white woman, I don't feel qualified in any way to speak on. But I have a speech in the play, which talks about. So my character's father is a lord, and he is anti-slavery. And so my horrible husband makes me read a speech of his that had been published, and my husband's pretty angry at me about it. But basically, my father says, in 300 years now, I hope that black poverty doesn't surround white plenty, but I fear it will. And that's true in a lot of places. And slavery must be abolished if necessary by violence. And then she goes on to talk about, what her dad was trying to say. So I'm still sort of interpreting a lot of what I say as the character, but she was quite a maverick, a visionary, and yeah, I completely agree.
Absolutely. Well, and I have tickets for your opening night,
Yay!
and which is September 7th, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And what day is the play running until?
The 18th of September. So it's every night apart from Sundays. So I'm going to be tired, but best kind of tired.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think those are all of my questions for you for today.
Oh, thank you, Katie. That was so nice.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me. And as I said, there's nobody that I would have rather had on for my first guest. And thank you so much for your time.
Mwah.
Love you, and see
Bye.
you very
Love you
soon.
too. Bye.